The journey starts, moons ago where I was working for a company in Paris, France. So started my career not in PI, but was working for a flooring manufacturing company where I was helping them with a lot of their digital strategies. And I made a very weird pivot after 2 years doing that and ended up getting recruited by a personal injury law firm. And, at first I thought to myself, what is this going to entail? How can I really make an impact here? And I joined the firm, made the leap, and I loved it. So worked in-house as director of marketing for a personal injury law firm through that venture, ended up speaking at a number of events, ended up leading different circles and groups, as particularly on social media. Digital was always my background. And from there, I realized based on all the requests for, my knowledge and skill set in the space, I decided, you know what? You only live once. Let's get out there and give this a shot.
Welcome to the Renegade Lawyer Podcast, the show where we ask the questions, why aren't more lawyers living flourishing lives and inspiring others? And can you really get wealthy while doing only the work you love with people you like? Many lawyers are. Get ready to hear from your host, Ben Glass, the founder of the law firm Ben Glass Law in Fairfax, Virginia, and Great Legal Marketing, an organization that helps good people succeed by coaching, inspiring, and supporting law firm owners. Join us for today's conversation.
Hey everyone, this is Ben Glass. We're back to the Renegade Lawyer Podcast, where each episode I get to interview someone inside or outside of legal who's making a ding in the world. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about Gabby AI. We're going to talk about things that maybe we should be thinking about for 6, 12, and 18 months into our future that we can't even imagine right now. And so I love these conversations, these technology conversations with smart folks. So I've got Erik Ovesny with Arrow Effect Marketing. And Erik is a leading digital lead. The company is a leading digital lead generation and marketing company specializing in personal injury law firms. And Gabby AI, which we'll hear about today, is a groundbreaking conversational AI designed specifically for the legal industry to streamline that speed to lead process. Really doing what all firms, but particularly PI firms, need to do is really to make sure that all the money they spend generating a lead isn't now lost somehow in the sales and conversion process. So Erik, thanks for carving out some time to chat with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Talk to us a little bit about your background, what your experience in the space is. And then we're always curious because we're entrepreneurs, like how did you get to Arrow Effect Marketing and Gabby AI?
Yeah, so really the journey starts, moons ago where I was working for a company in Paris, France. So started my career not in PI, but was working for a flooring manufacturing company where I was helping them with a lot of their digital strategies. And I made a very weird pivot after 2 years doing that and ended up getting recruited by a personal injury law firm. And, at first I thought to myself, what is this going to entail? How can I really make an impact here? And I joined the firm, made the leap, and I loved it. So worked in-house as director of marketing for a personal injury law firm through that venture, ended up speaking at a number of events, ended up leading different circles and groups, as particularly on social media. Digital was always my background. And from there, I realized based on all the requests for, my knowledge and skill set in the space, I decided, you know what? You only live once. Let's get out there and give this a shot. And so I've been doing this for little over a decade now, which I could not believe when I was putting pen to paper the other day and just thinking about how long I've been in the space and working in personal injury law, with personal injury law firms, speaking and whatnot. But I really love it because it's an industry where for me, I believe, it's always evolving. The digital space is always evolving. So to come in and make an impact in an industry that traditionally isn't exactly pioneers when it comes to technology, marketing.
No, not us.
Yeah, so that's somewhere where I've had a lot of fun just having conversations with folks like yourself and owners of firms and their personnel to make a difference.
That was quite a leap from working for a manufacturing firm of sorts in France to being recruited. I take it back to the United States to do marketing for a personal injury firm. What was it that they saw about your resume or how did you make that connection?
I had I have a lot of family that worked in the legal space. My uncle's a lawyer, so I had a lot of contacts just through that. But really, where I made a bit of an impact early on in my career was the storytelling aspect. And we all know how similar a lot of the ads and the creatives can be on a lot of these platforms that we're putting out there in our world. And, me working for a flooring company, which isn't exactly the most exciting thing ever, some of my creative and video creative in particular was noticed, and that led to me being recruited over in the legal industry, which they took a leap of faith in me, and vice versa. I took a leap of faith in them. Been doing it ever since.
You mentioned a word that it is really a secret card that a lot of my market, my listeners, which is a solo and small firms, can get really good at. It doesn't matter the practice area, but it is storytelling. It is, since so many firms, Erik, their advertising is shout, shout louder, and shout the highest, right? And it's the same message that most of them are screaming from the top of a mountain or the side of a bus or something. But being able to take your client stories and experiences, retell them in, of course, ethical, sane way, but an interesting way, so that whoever then hears of you, finds your website, finds your other marketing materials, they can perhaps see themselves, if they're a good lead for you, they can see themselves inside of a story that you have told about a prior client. And
Yeah.
so it's not just, hey, we get the biggest verdicts or, the most number of cases or, the most number of lawyers, in a firm. But we can get really good at telling interesting stories that prove our expertise and our experience without having to shout, oh, like we're just the best. We have the most experience. To
Yeah.
talk to us about that for a moment, because I think that is sounds like maybe your superpower that became then attractive for this
Yeah.
firm.
100%. I mean, me really, even before I started with the flooring manufacturing company, I was on a path where I almost was a filmmaker, was making documentary films.
Not surprised. Yeah.
At a young age, I thought I was the next Steven Spielberg. I said, this is what I wanted to do. And I just happened to get into it at a time where social media just started taking off. Advertising started to become a thing. So I realized I'm able to take this cinematic, this storytelling, component to, advertising, which then led to, the legal space and personal injury. And I could tell you, I was shocked when I initially started working in personal injury, because I did not realize how competitive it was until I was actually living and breathing in the space, right? I mean, this is a, place where anytime you're turning the local channel, every other commercial, personal injury commercial, every other ad. So it was just something where I felt like I could come in and really help build that story. And really I realized firms needed to do was to create something that's what I call sticky, right? What is going to really resonate? Because the other tricky part of what I always loved about the challenge, no one plans on getting hurt. So who's your
Yes.
target audience? It could be anyone, because when you're dealing with a lot of other industries, you can kind of define the he, the she, whoever your target might be. But in this space, it's everyone. Anyone can be hurt at any point in time. So that's why it's just that much more important that you're creative, your storytelling, your brand, your firm, your just overall visibility really sticks out, because that's who they end up going with. It's not the person necessarily they see 100 times, as the person that sticks with them.
Exactly, because that person who has not yet been in an accident, their brain is working hard to just block out the basic PI messages anyway. It's just way too much. There's way too many advertising, marketing messages out there for the brain to comprehend and to focus. But if there is a story to be told about the law firm or about the lawyer or about big cases, but I think about the lawyer in particular, it gives the brain a way to remember, oh, Ben, the CrossFit soccer referee guy who happens to be a lawyer, versus Ben, the guy who buys the most ads on the side of a bus. So I'll bet you, were you surprised when you came into the space to see that storytelling was an opportunity, even in this very competitive market
Oh,
space, particularly for PI lawyers? That, oh my gosh, how come no one's doing this?
Absolutely, 100%, because I realized a lot of the creatives I was seeing with doing competitive analysis and seeing what other firms were doing, I realized, wow, they're so similar. I could see how easy
Yes.
to mix one of the commercials, the firm I was working with, or perhaps it was a client with the competitors, because, we're all trying to talk, about the same things. And at the end of the day, when someone's injured in an accident, it's a very emotional thing, right? There's a lot of emotional cords being pulled. And I realized that the storytelling aspect can really, connect with that. And it's someone that, who might see something that, like, what, this person actually cares. This isn't, I'm not just another case number to them. I'm not just a dollar amount. This is someone who gets it and they really want to work with me. And that storytelling aspect, just across the board, not just, in video creative, not just in a social media post, but just something that was incorporated within the brand. I definitely started to notice that was going to be a big opportunity for firms that weren't necessarily out there, pouring, tons of money on like the billboards, the traditional mediums. And, like I said, social media and the digital space has always been a platform that's pennies on the dollar compared to some of the other ones. So I just happened to get in the right place at the right time and be able to bring some of the talents that I had prior to being in the legal industry to go.
And to be clear, I mean, the other forms of broadcast media can and do work. It's just that you have to be the one or two or three top spender in the marketplace to be able to get it to work. All right. So now, as an entrepreneur, talk to us a little bit about the journey where the idea forms like, oh, I could maybe go and start my own business and take that entrepreneurial leap, so to speak. What was that like for you?
It's funny because when I really thought about it as an entrepreneur, when it really started, I think it's always been there with me. But, I grew up a very blue collar town, Youngstown, Ohio, where it was just ingrained, you're going to go to school, you're going to get a job, you're going to work a 9 to 5, and that's going to be it. And I really enjoyed my time working, in house with firms, and even my time in Paris working with the company. But, it was always really a dream of mine to get out there and being able to bring, my vision to life, whether it be through cinema or whatever it was. I always had a passion for creativity. So really when I started to notice that, okay, I've got something going here, is really when I started to put different things out there and getting requests. Hey, I saw you did this. Could you do this for me? Or, hey, would you be able to lead this mastermind and tell us a little bit about how you did this? And, I, again, just happened to really put all my focus on digital platforms, in particular social media, which was just growing, year by year to what it is now. So it was then I realized there's a big opportunity, there's demand, and I'm passionate about it. I really love it. And now's a great time. And fast forward to really present day, I also had a really good friend who sadly passed from at 36 from esophageal cancer. He really convinced me. I really credit him. His name was Sal Ponzio. He had really given me the boost to say, you can do this. Like you've got the skills, you've got the talent, you've got the market, the relationships. Now's the time. And I really appreciate him giving me that kick, because I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
So with Arrow Effect Marketing, which is the company that you founded today, and by the way, folks, we're recording this exactly in the middle of 2024. We're going to be talking about AI here in a few minutes, and probably everything we talk about will be vastly outdated in 3 months. But with Arrow Effect Marketing, like, who is your ideal client in that business?
Yeah, I mean, really, personal injury law firms. We did start to expand a bit in other types of legal, but personal injury law firms have always been our bread and butter. We have worked in healthcare a bit, and I'll explain a little bit why that is when we talk about AI and even our Gabbi AI system. And the reason is because their intake, we saw a lot of similarities with the intake systems and processes.
So they're
So,
both bad. They're both
yeah,
generally bad.
they both have some room for improvement, 100%. But yeah, the bread and butter of what I've been doing for the better half of the last decade has been personal injury specific.
And is there a particular size or a overall marketing budget that I talked to a guy recently, and his avatar was the firm spending $1 million a year just on digital ads, as a part of their overall marketing budget. Do you have a
It's a great that's
budgetary ideal?
That's a great question. Really, we don't. I'll tell you, what we do is we just have different pillars. If they're spending, their ad spend is X amount, we still can help them. We still can create them strategies, because at the end of the day, they need cases just like everyone else. And I get it. When I started my company, it was the same thing. You just have to know where to go. And the thing I love about, and I know we're going to talk about AI, but even just the digital landscape, it really, that's what we focus on. We really don't do anything else outside of digital. And digital really, it gives, I think, firms spending a little and also a lot, an opportunity to level the playing field. And a lot of that, one of the things I always tell the firms that we work with that maybe don't have the budget that maybe another firm does, is the thing I love again about the storytelling and the creative is you could be spending as much as you want on a digital advertisement, and yes, you're sure you're going to get some results, but if you have one good creative and you're spending a little bit, but that one creative sticks or goes viral, guess what? It just organically, it does the work for you. So certainly what we do is when those that have lower ad spends, we guide them. And then our goal is we start to build them up to get them, but we want to show them what you can do and what we can do for them, and then build from there.
So a big problem that perplexes lawyers and apparently the healthcare industry as well is, hey, we can engage companies to get us leads in using whatever media there is. But leads generate then a conversion or a sales process, which is generally horrible. And anyone that doesn't think it is, just go and listen to your last 10 intake calls at your own office, your own well-trained team just took. Just listen to them and see if they're actually representing your voice, your brand. I guarantee you'll be disappointed. But this is a space that you have been working to help law firms fix, that lead to sales conversion process. And we'll come back and talk about AI generally if we have time. But let's talk about Gabbi AI. Talk about how Arrow Effect Marketing is helping lawyers solve that conversion process.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, really with Arrow Effect Marketing, we really got it down to a science with the ability to generate leads. We've been doing it for years. And, after the last, I'd say year, I started to notice, and I started going through the data with the team. And while we were converting at a good rate, I started looking a little bit closer at some of the details. I'm like, wow, this is a significant injury. This is this. And I talked back, with the client and say, why didn't this one convert? They just really weren't sure. One thing we started to notice was response times was a common, theme. And even the firms that have some of the most amazing intake systems, there's always that one that could slip through the cracks. Maybe they're so busy, all of their intake is on the phone. One of the issues I know I dealt with when I was working in-house, there was always inconsistencies with the intake personnel. Yes. Someone might have been great on the phones while the other person, not so much. So what I realized was I was very passionate about results for clients. That's something that we always tried to do when working and signing with the client. We consider ourselves growth partners, not necessarily a marketing agency, although that's what we are, but we really refer to ourselves as growth partners. I realized that what if we could help with the lead intake process? And, starting a call center wasn't exactly something I was interested in doing, but with AI happening, I jumped to it because while everyone else was scared and trying to figure out, this isn't, something that I think can help, I really dove in, was like, what can we utilize right now to help solve some of these issues? And that's where I decided to create Gabbi AI, so it could help with our lead gen portion to ensure that there's always speed to lead. So I know we'll jump into some of what it can do, but there's so many stats out there when I started looking. I mean, facts like if you do not get back to leads within the first 5 minutes, your odds of converting them go down more than 80%. It's insane. And I started to really look at those that were getting back to leads within 30 seconds to a minute to 2 minutes, and how much it can decrease by the second. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. I mean, especially when you're injured and you're getting inundated with other competitors, especially in today's digital age. When you land on someone's page, you're going to see 10 other lawyers' ads. Sometimes they get confused. They don't know what's going on. It's whoever gets a hold of them first is who they're going to go with. So we wanted to make sure that we got first right of refusal for any quality lead.
Well, one of the things we've seen, it's not just getting a hold of them first, but it's getting them to sign your form, because what you just said is absolutely true. Like, they don't even know that they're e-signing fee agreements, and they don't even know what they're signing. They don't even know who sent it to them. And so it is a multi-step process. And you're exactly right. There's this human element in there that's important, has traditionally been important, and it's really hard. I mean, it's one thing to talk about firms have call centers, right, and dedicated sales reps. It's really hard for the smaller marketplace that doesn't have dedicated sales rep. They have paralegals that are answering the phone in the midst of everything else. They have receptionists, quote, that are answering the phone when everything else is going on. There are still firms out there, Erik, this, that have answering
Yeah.
machines after 5 o'clock. Are you kidding me? And some of those answering machines are, I swear to God, this is true, are still answering because of COVID. And like, oh my gosh, no one's even listened to the message in like 3 years. so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
let's
Yeah. I was just going to say, it's interesting because, we use softwares where we can go in and we can listen to the calls, across the board, and we even have access to different data. And it's funny because we see when people hang up. And I just had a conversation with another firm where they're like, why didn't they leave, a voice message? And I'm like, if they don't get a hold of someone that they're talking to that they think is a person within like the first 5 to 10 seconds, they're hanging up. If the phone rings too much, they're hanging up and they're going somewhere else. So you're absolutely right.
if it gets answered and they're put on hold for 2 minutes. We
Exactly.
have this is related but not totally related. I ordered something, I needed some part, and I couldn't get it on Amazon, so I got it from the manufacturer or whatever. It took like a week. I'm like, what are you talking about? I order it on Amazon and it comes that afternoon or overnight or something. And so we have been spoiled in large part by what some of these big great companies can do in terms of response time. And so you call a doctor's office and they says, "Oh, well, it's lunchtime. We're closed." Like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? And it affects lawyers too. All right. So now, before we talk about Gabbi AI, there's going to be folks that are listening to this who are fairly sophisticated about AI in the legal space. There'll be those who have took one look and got afraid and ran the other way. And there'll be those like us that we're trying to leverage it, a bunch of it, particularly in the marketing space, particularly in the creation of chronologies and the evaluation of medical records, things like that. But so let's talk AI in general, because you say that you then created an AI called Gabbi AI. And there's going to be a lot of people, including me, that not 100% sure of what that means to say
Yeah.
you have created some sort of an engine. So walk us through that for my benefit. And I'm sure others will be listening and going, thanks for asking that question, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, just starting with AI in general. I mean, the thing is, like, to say you're an expert in AI, yes, you could be today, but tomorrow it's going to evolve again. I mean, that's the thing. That's the name of the game with this landscape. I mean, it is growing and evolving so fast that, I was even looking back and I did a presentation in December, and some of the things I talked about there aren't even relevant anymore. That's how quickly this is growing and evolving. So really, just AI in general, I mean, it's only going to continue to get better. And my biggest thing is that those that are going to start to adopt it and not run from it are going to, get to the finish line a lot quicker and start to perform, see a lot quicker as far as results go. When it came to Gabbi AI, what we really tried to do was take a look at, the top of the line offerings out there. What were others doing? What were some of the bigger companies doing? What was Uber doing? How was Amazon connecting? We looked at everything from website chats. I mean, that was something that at the beginning, like right now, like Gabbi will talk about the phone conversational piece that sounds like a human. When we started with her, it was just meant to really be an artificial intelligence infused web chat that at the time when we started, which was a little over a year ago, there wasn't many out there. And, in the personal injury space, there are many services out there that offer 24 or an actual human, 24/7 intake specialist that can handle the intake. But we quickly started to evolve and we were trying to keep up with the technology. We still are. I mean, just even today, we had a phone call of how we can add some things on that aren't even out there yet, but we know they're coming. So by just looking at some of the different offerings out there, we were able to kind of see where we currently were, what we could do, but also get an idea of what was coming and get ahead of the curve.
I love that you gave Gabbi a gender, called her a her. All right, so talk to us. Well, let's just do this first. Like in terms of sort of essential or baseline AI for legal, do you have recommendations or thoughts there? Like by now, summer of 2024, most law firms that have any sort of semi-sophistication with technology probably have in place what?
I think at this point, everyone should be, or at least know of, or and definitely should be using a Fathom AI. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Fathom AI, but that has been a lifesaver for me. Someone that's constantly on Zoom meetings. It's actually removed the fact that I've had to have some of my other team members or personnel on there to help take notes. We utilize a project manager very often to when we hop on clients to see what they need. What Fathom AI can do, and it integrates with Zoom, all the different video meeting softwares out there, it will actually put together the meeting notes for you, record the video, and actually give you like a timestamp of each thing that was mentioned, different notes. So definitely, if you're not using Fathom AI at this point, you got to get on the train there. But really, one of the things and I know I talked about this the last time I spoke on just AI, there's a lot of tools out there where you can actually filter and look for exactly what you need. One in particular I look at is it's called futurepedia.io. That's actually a free website where you can actually go through and just tell it what you're looking for, and it'll give you the latest AI
That's cool.
offering for that software. And you can actually filter by free versus cost and by reviews. So that's something that I have found to be very valuable. And then other than that, I mean, I'm sure I could nerd out on this stuff all day, just about the different offerings that are out there. Even like with sites like Shutterstock, which a lot of times from a creative standpoint, we have to rely on stock photos, stock visuals. A lot of existing softwares that we're used to, I think a lot of people don't realize they're starting to have AI infused into it. For example, Shutterstock, you don't not even have to rely on, the photos that were taken by a professional photographer. You can go on there and just tell it what you're looking for and it'll create it. I use a software called Runway, which is amazing. It's one of the top of the lines out there that can generate artificial intelligence videos that look real. Like I actually did a movie trailer just for fun, and people thought it was the real commercial or a trailer for a movie, and it ended up getting a good amount of views. And so I realized this is scary. I mean, even when I'm doing it, I'm realizing this is just incredible, the technology and where we're at. So utilizing some of those technologies right here and right now. And everyone knows about ChatGPT and what it can do, but these are things that can make your life much easier.
I think everybody has heard of ChatGPT. I think you may overestimate lawyers writ large when we say and knows what it can do. Because honestly, Erik, you sit at some of these conferences with regular lawyers and they're clueless still. Whereas the rest of us are always sometimes asking ChatGPT, like, what can you do next? One of the things
Yeah.
we've done here in terms of product creation and great legal marketing is trained an engine on lots and lots of hours of my voice. And so to the extent that we have text-based product from the past, I can now lecture, and it is shockingly, amazingly real sounding. I mean, except for the mispronunciation of a word here or there, like you wouldn't really know the difference. And so, we name those voice actors AI Ben, just so that people know that it's not really Ben voicing it. All right, so let's talk about Gabby AI. What exactly does it do, and is it for every PI law firm, do you think, Erik?
Well, what I always say is this: if you have an intake system and process that's working, why try to fix what's not broken, right? So now, obviously, Gabby AI, we really, if you mentioned at the beginning, there's a lot of other firms out there that don't necessarily have the intake personnel. And certainly, like when I talk to them, like we have a perfect solution that's cost effective. But even those that have intake personnel, one of the things that we're actually working on right now is we're looking to gamify it and add a dashboard for human intake personnel where you can actually have like a leadership board and reward your intake personnel for those that are actually seeing the most conversions, and using it as a training mechanism to see, why is this person getting more cases driven, and is it their script? What is it? And so we also can compare that to the artificial intelligence that's handling it. But at its core, what Gabby AI is, it's a lead intake, qualifying, and automation system. So what it does, it ensures that it follows up within 30 seconds of a lead coming in. Our system can actually help qualify the lead. What's really cool, we've now infused it so if it is qualified, it can call and sound like an actual human. I'm sure, like as you just mentioned, when you record, like, took a snippet of your voice, you have no idea that you're not talking to an actual intake personnel. But while they're on the phone, if they qualify, and can actually send them a contract, send them a link to book the meeting, handle live transfers, you name it. And this is just the beginning. So we're really right now focused on what's next. That's my job as the founder and CEO of Gabbi AI is to really try to look at the landscape of what else we can incorporate. So in addition to handling phone conversations, Gabbi can also handle texting conversations, because we all know how people feel more comfortable using that. One of the things that has been very popular is its multilingual capabilities. So Gabbi can pivot. So if someone calls, we just had a firm the other day that called us and they were in a heavy Portuguese speaking market. So we created a version that can actually adapt and speak Portuguese. So it's something that if you don't have someone in-house that can speak, that native language or is multilingual, Gabbi now can handle that, both with on the phone and SMS.
In the instance where it's a live caller now talking to a voice, does the live human being know, or are they told, hey, I'm Gabbi, the AI assisting person? Or does the human think that they're talking to a human?
Yeah, typically what happens is, let's say someone fills out a form and they fill it out, they qualify, they get a call from Gabbi. Gabbi just starts off typically by saying, hey, I'm Gabbi with this X law firm. We noticed you just filled out this form. Just wanted to verify a couple of things. We typically wait until, if they ask, are you a human? We just say, we're actually a virtual assistant, but we can do everything. And a lot of times when we listen to the calls too, they love it. I was really interested to see at the beginning how many people could really tell they were talking to an AI. And one of the investments we made was in the latest speech technology out there. So there wasn't any lag. When you speak to her, it was an instant response. There wasn't any interruption. It sounded, like you were talking to a person. They could, tell jokes, they could laugh. So that was something that we spent a lot of time on. But I was really, just astounded at how many people had no idea they were talking to an AI. But in the few incidents they said, hey, are you a real person? Should just say, hey, I'm actually a virtual assistant here. And then if they do ask to talk to a real person, we do two things. They can do a live transfer right there to the intake, or just say, they're not available. I could take a message and then send a text to the on-call attorney, the intake team, via email, whatever works best. The one thing I will say that makes Gabbi unique as a software, it's customized for every firm, because every firm has different systems, different processes. So it's not just, hey, I'm Gabbi. It's I'm Gabbi with X firm, right? Like, and one of the things that we're working on right now and on the onboarding process is you upload things about your firm. So then when you log into your dashboard and you have access to Gabbi, she's trained and you can manipulate whatever you need to as far as the knowledge base goes to be specific for your wants and needs for the firm.
It's funny. I've got kids, age 22 to 40, and some of them and many other kids that age group that I know, like they hate getting on the phone for whatever reason with a human being. Like they would rather go on their phone and text, or, hit one for yes, hit two for no. They like that. And so there's going to be a certain cohort of callers who are like, yay, I don't have to talk to a human being. I can talk to this computer that's not going to make a mistake, and nobody will ever ask me, a hard question or something like that. So that's fascinating. Talk to us. So this is in use now? You have customers?
Hey guys, this is Ben. If you like what you've been hearing on this podcast, not just the marketing and practice building strategies, but the philosophy of the art of living your best life parts, you should know that my son Brian and I have built a tribe of like-minded lawyers who are living lives of their own design and creating tremendous value for the world within the structure of a law practice. We invite you to join us at the only membership organization for entrepreneurial lawyers that is run by two full-time practicing attorneys. Check us out at greatlegalmarketing.com.
Yes, we do. Yes, Gabbi. It's actually, it's funny because we haven't really done a lot of marketing or promotion for it yet, because we wanted to make sure we had the best of the best. But we actually, over the last, I'd say 3 months, we've started to get some users, and I believe we're up to about 25 different users right now. And what we're seeing, things that we're measuring are conversions. And we're noticing in some instances 40% increase in conversions just from having that speed to lead. It really is incredible to see what a difference, just in general, what speed to lead can do for firms that don't necessarily have it.
So I take it that today for these 25 users, you're covering everything from, in some cases, just call comes in on the phone, it's answered by Gabby. And in other
Yes.
cases, Gabby is making an outbound call when there's a form fill or a chat or something like that. Is that right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, we have some users that want to use it just for their full on intake. When we initially created Gabbi AI, we didn't really want to promote it as something, hey, replace your intake team with Gabby. That's because we actually created her to work in tandem with those that have intake teams. But 100% for those, as you mentioned at the beginning, that don't necessarily have those teams just yet, Gabby 100% can do the full intake. But she is meant to work in tandem with, be the first line of defense, do a transfer after hours, or just if the phone rings after so many times, Gabby will pick up so they don't go anywhere else.
Outline for me sort of the pricing model for firms that, maybe firm 26 to 50 in your customer base. What does that look like? In chat boxes, a lot of times, sometimes it's based upon total web traffic. Sometimes it's based upon actual quote conversations. Some of these processes are a pain in the butt for the law firm to disclaim, bad chats and stuff. What is the model? And if you want to discuss pricing, like what does that look like now? Again, folks, we're in the middle of 2024, so things can change.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. One of the things that we always say is it starts as low as $250 a month. And that includes, some of the basic components of Gabbi AI. But really right now, most of our users are about $500 a month. And that gets them up to a certain amount of minutes. And and I believe they can get them up to 1,000 minutes per month. Most of our users are at, and then there's a cost per minute that go over. The only times that we really don't find Gabby to be the most useful is, let's say, especially when we got some calls from healthcare and they're saying, hey, we're getting, 20,000 calls a day or something like that. Obviously your phone bill can get kind of pricey because there's a cost per minute right now. But other than that, it could be anywhere from $250 to $500 a month. And then just a one-time install and build, because everything we do is customized for that firm.
Does Gabby, so a firm that's setting this up, will they set it up on their main number? And so you could have vendors, you could have claims adjusters calling. How does that work? Are they immediately shunted then to a live person if it's not a
Yeah.
prospect?
It could be either. It could be either or. Some firms that we work with, they just have a siloed number, like you would with a tracking number. Others that we could actually talk to their main phone company, and they will dictate when to transfer it over to Gabby. Really, it's just, once again, choice of the firm
Okay.
and how they want to use her.
And then do you have your own sort of user dashboard behind it that firms are logging on to? And then, of course, the next question is that dashboard. And the answer must be yes. Then talk to the case management system or the other intake system, whatever the firm is using.
Yes. In there in the dashboard, you can actually go in, you can listen to the calls, see the transcripts, you can actually add into the knowledge base. You can actually test out the software right there. Right now, we're working on implementing just a web-based or phone or mobile version where you can just click a button and have a conversation just to test it out. So, and the other part is too, you can have multiple different chatbots. One of the things too that I love about, because we try to stay away from the term chatbot just because those, you see so many that are just, you click it, let's talk to someone, and says, we'll get back, fill out this form, we'll get back to you in 24 hours.
The horrible customer experience, exactly.
They're gone. And I will say, in the legal industry, they do a really good job most of the time with their chatbots from what we've seen in our research. But there's still the ones out there that either don't have them, which is a big mistake across the board because there's a lot of stats that show if you have them, you're going to see an increase in cases and quality leads. But the one thing too that we built with Gabbi AI is integration with social messengers within Facebook and with Instagram. We just had an instance not too long ago where, we looked at a client and said, have you checked your Facebook messages lately? And they went on there and there were 3 cases of catastrophic injuries from a motorcycle accident. No one got back to them. They're like, are you kidding me? So, one of the things that we offer, and there's others that do this, but with Gabbi AI, we ensured that she can integrate with all those different social media messengers, in addition to not just having that web-based. What we really want to do is just cover every aspect of communication. Gabbi AI also has built-in automation, so it'll email them and can communicate via email as well, in addition to the phone and the SMS. So one of the things that we're really starting to get creative with, as I mentioned, we're looking ahead. I think just in general, besides Gabbi AI, what we're going to see and what I'm starting to look at and maybe even have Gabbi AI invest in is mixing artificial intelligence with augmented reality and even some virtual reality. And, for example, there's all these things like I just saw an ad the other day for the first like screenless like laptop where it's just a keyboard and you put on glasses and you see the screen. That's where we're at. And what I think is going to happen, is pretty soon here, you're going to be able to put on these glasses and be connected and actually have a live conversation with an artificial intelligence that comes off as an actual human, as an actual human person that's there 24/7. And we're so close to being there. So I really think that's what we're going to start to see and evolve. But yeah, Gabbi AI right now offers the latest in that AI. And the thing is, our knowledge base is specific to legal and personal injury. And so the wider our knowledge base is, the better she's going to perform.
And you mentioned earlier a minute ago about you can go in and update your knowledge base or change your knowledge base. So talk about what sort of information is going into a firm's knowledge base with Gabbi.
So one of the things that we've done is you can actually take scripts, like you can actually take a recorded call from your intake and you can drag and drop that clip right in there and it'll train itself on why that was a good call, why that intake specialist did a good thing. You can actually script it exactly how you'd like it. Like here's if they give you pushback here, if, they get out of line, do X, Y, or Z. And the other part too is within that knowledge base and those prompts, you can actually include actions. So, hey, if they mention this, send them the booking link right there. Or if they say, hey, they want to talk to this specific attorney, do a live transfer right there. The other really interesting part, what we've been doing is Gabbi AI can actually integrate within most case management softwares. So like while she's doing the intake, she can actually take a lot of those notes and automatically populate that within the case management software, which saves the intake, the attorney time from having to go and enter all those manual notes. So there's a lot of different options behind the dashboard that we're trying to keep it clean and simple, but we want to make sure we tackle everything that's attractive to an attorney.
Is Gabbi smart enough now, Erik, to kind of do an initial evaluation of whether this caller is someone who fits my avatar client profile?
Yes.
That's
yes.
Cool.
Yeah, that's part of the qualifying questions. And what's, the way I always try to, and that's why we ended up calling her Gabbi AI. We went through a whole branding thing is because we wanted to build out, a persona. Because the way it is, it's, not even just a software, it's your next intake employee. That's the way we look at it. It really can do what we want Gabbi to do is do everything your best intake employee can do, but never make a mistake, always be an A+ player and be there as a support system, whether you have an intake team or not.
Because I'm a marketing focused guy, I think that software like Gabbi AI will also help this way, is that lawyers presume that that clients are talking in a certain language or using certain words, and then they go out and buy keywords associated with things. Like I've never had a client call us and say, I was looking for a truck accident lawyer. Like they're in a car, the truck hit them, it's a car accident to them. I think lawyers have an opportunity to really refine the marketing side when they get not just anecdotal feedback from their human intake team about what the call was about, but having software that analyzes the exact language being used, and then developing scripts that are tied to ask questions like, what made you decide to try to call any lawyer? Why did you decide to call us? And embedding that in, it just seems you would get real time and sort of almost perfect information that the software could then turn around and quote, then talk to your marketing team or talk to your pay-per-click digital ad buyer and say, this is what people are asking for. Create campaigns that answer these questions and that are attractive to people who use these words in describing car accidents or whatever the personal injury space is. is that something that you think about as well? And
I'll tell you, you just gave me the idea. I think it's because, yeah, you absolutely can do that just by taking, the conversations. You not only can you listen to the call recordings, but you can also, get the transcripts, and you could take that and kind of start to look for, common traits or themes amongst the conversations there. So 100% that could help you build a social strategy, Google AdWords strategy, whatever it might be. Like, hey, this is the common thing. One thing that we just rolled out is that's not necessarily, relating to marketing, but is just that client satisfaction. Most of the firms we work with, I will say, they really put emphasis on existing client relationships. So one of the things you can do within Gabbi AI is when you set the client's birthday, upload your existing list. She'll call them on their birthday. You never have to miss it again. Happy birthday, right?
that's
Increase your referral source just by having that good client service.
it's brilliant the first time. But I have a finance guy that I haven't used in 10 years, but I'm still on his stupid birthday card email list. And so I get his stupid birthday card email every year. So it would have to be like, it's really cool, like the first time. And then we have to figure out, how do we make this real, or sound real every time. But
Yeah,
that's a neat idea, right? That's a neat idea. I mean, there's so many things you could do because we have different sort of chase lists here when a lead comes in and either we can't get a hold of them or they've started one part of the process and now we rate them internally, like how hard and how frequently we're going to chase. And so I imagine with Gabbi and the software behind it, like you can even adjust for that. Like, okay, this is a case I really want, and this is the kind of language we want. Or this is a case where, yeah, if I miss this one, it's fine. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So that sounds really awesome. Is Gabbi AI the main product, the only product of what you're selling? Is that your thing?
Correct. Yeah. So, obviously on the Aero Effects side, we're just strictly the marketing, digital lead generation, the growth partner, as you will. And then Gabbi AI is its own company where we just sell,
It's its own company. Okay. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So
You must have competitors in the space, or if not today, you're going to have tomorrow. I mean, it's got to be, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'll say this. We are at least first to the race. And I don't know exactly how many have popped up since yesterday, but that have focused on personal injury and really on legal. And I just had a call with someone the other day and they said, well, what's to stop me from utilizing Chat GPT and, building a similar product? And I said, well, good luck. Good luck.
You could, yeah.
I mean, all of this, everyone can do it, but I will tell you, we have, like I said, put the latest technology. We're trying to advance it every single day. I mean, it's funny because I spend so much time talking to an artificial intelligence just to test it out that I'm starting to, forget that I'm talking to AI. Sometimes I'm like, this is pretty scary. So, and
scary.
again, because our knowledge base is specific to the industry, there's not going to be as many errors. There's not going to be as many mistakes. And just really everything we've built, even behind the scenes, as far as the dashboard, it's customized for, this industry's intake process. And even like when we've gotten a lot of requests from the healthcare industry, just because they have a pretty similar intake, process when it comes to patients, we did make sure that HIPAA compliance was something that we really considered when building a lot of, just because of confidentiality. We made sure we went through all the hoops just to make sure that the privacy was something that was a key component. But sure, there's a lot of technology, but I can tell you what we did was we went and grabbed the latest, infused it with our own that we built, and we're just going to only get better. As I mentioned, we're already working on, really the next phase. We're working on technology right now that's not even there. That's where we're going. So we're really excited about what the future holds.
So let me ask you this, like just personal habits wise, you seem like a very smart guy and you're thinking into a space where maybe no one has been before. So how do you iterate ideas personally? And you must have a team here. I'm just curious about people who are on the sort of cutting edge of whatever it is, technology, or just thinking about law in particular. How does that work for you, do you think? Is it describable?
Yeah, I think, being around like-minded people. And I mean, for me, passion has to be a driver. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of this conversation, cinema, the storytelling aspect of things was always so important to me. It was something that it just fueled passion, and that led to, guiding me to where I'm at now. When it came to AI, I just think I love the constant, need to always be learning, right? Because it's always evolving. It's the same thing with social and digital marketing. I like the space because, you can be an expert one day, the next, nothing, because it's all changed. So for me, it's really two things. I think surrounding myself by like-minded people, having conversations like we're having right now. But it's so funny because I know we talked a little bit about ChatGPT with their latest rollout 4.0. I converse with it constantly, which is very similar to the way it converses the way Gabby does, but it's actually my note taker. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and say, I had an idea. What do you think about this? And literally ideas I've gotten from 4.0, I'm like, that's actually a fantastic idea. Fantastic. So I communicate with AI and like-minded folks to keep it simple.
Well, look, this has been great. And again, there's a set of lawyers that are taking a peek and running the other way. And then there's the rest of us who are trying to figure out how can we free up the time and space to do our craft, which is to think intelligently about our clients' cases and utilize things like Gabby AI and other software that's being developed in the artificial intelligence space to make everything else go faster and go smoother, really for the customer and the client experience. Erik, this has been wonderful. So people want to find out about Gabby AI. Where should they go? What do they find when they get there?
Yeah, if you go to meetgabbi.com, a couple things, you'll see some demos. You'll see across the board, it's multilingual capabilities. And you can also give her a call. Her number will be on the site. You can call her, converse with her, test her out. But if you want to see the full functionality and features, you can schedule a demo. And I will actually be on most of those demos one-on-one, just because that's something I love doing, talking about it. So if you go there, those are the things you'll find.
And every call you do, you learn something too. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
helps.
Oh, we're learning every day. Absolutely.
All right, man. Erik Ovesny, it's Gabby AI, Arrow Marketing Effect. But really, I think Gabby AI is the thing you want to go. And you can go to the website, find a phone number, and talk to this system that will sound like unbelievable, probably.
It'll sound like your next intake specialist.
That's a good, there's your tagline. There's your tagline, your next intake
There we
specialist. Erik, hold
There we
on
go.
for a moment. Thanks so much for your time today. That was an awesome discussion.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it.
If you like what you just heard on the Renegade Lawyer Podcast, you may be a perfect fit for the great legal marketing community. Law firm owners across the country are becoming heroes to their families and icons in their communities. They've gone renegade by rejecting the status quo of the legal profession so they can deliver high-quality legal services coupled with top-notch customer service to clients who pay, stay, and refer. Learn more at greatlegalmarketing.com. That's greatlegalmarketing.com.